Lloyd started out as a walking tragedy. He was so weak that he couldn't even catch a normal rabbit, and to make it worse, the rabbit beat him up like it was personal. Lloyd stood there, bruised, embarrassed, and questioning his life choices. Right at his lowest point, a neighbor casually showed up, holding the exact same rabbit like it was nothing. Lloyd was instantly amazed. On the way back, Lloyd kept bombarding the neighbor with questions about the outside world, dreaming of something bigger than his miserable village life. The neighbor didn't sugarcoat anything and told him that if he wanted answers, he needed strength first. Then, like a classic old mentor move, he handed Lloyd a book. To Lloyd, that book might as well have been a legendary treasure. Time passed, Lloyd grew up, and with zero muscles but maximum motivation, he decided to leave home and find a witch. When he reached Marie's place, she immediately warned him that anyone who couldn't pay a proper price should get lost. Lloyd didn't flinch. Seeing his determination, Marie asked why he was there. Lloyd explained that he wanted to become a soldier and had come to the city for her help. Marie was about to give him a dramatic lecture on the history of witches, but Lloyd casually showed that he already knew everything. That instantly bruised her ego. Embarrassment turned into rage and she snapped at him to go somewhere else. But the moment Lloyd mentioned he was from Kunran village and that the village chief was named Alka, Marie felt a chill shoot straight down her spine. Things got worse when Lloyd pulled out a crystal ball and Marie instantly realized she was about to face the one person she feared the most. Sure enough, Alka appeared from the ball and Marie's arrogance vanished on the spot. She folded immediately. Alka calmly dumped Lloyd into Marie's care, calling him her favorite student like it was completely normal. Then, she cruelly pretended the image was pre-recorded just to bait Marie into exposing her true attitude and give herself an excuse to punish her. When Marie realized she'd been played like a cheap toy, her only option was to apologize as fast as possible. Once Alka disappeared, Marie took out her frustration on the crystal ball like it personally betrayed her. Lloyd bowed his head and apologized too, but instead of blaming him, Marie surprised him by offering a private room. Lloyd thanked her sincerely and asked for her help, which made Marie realize he was actually a good kid, not some arrogant brat. Just when things calmed down, Alka popped back in again, warning Marie not to bully Lloyd unless she wanted consequences. She casually revealed she had used instant teleportation through the crystal ball, which made Marie feel sick to her soul. Alka didn't care and simply ordered her to train Lloyd seriously. Still pissed about being called an old woman, Alka slapped Marie with a misfortune curse. From that point on, Marie's life turned into a nonstop bad luck comedy show. The next morning, Marie woke up to see Lloyd quietly cooking like he owned the place. He immediately apologized for using the kitchen without permission, but Marie told him to relax and feel at home. Lloyd served her pancakes covered in rich sauce, and the moment she tasted them, she praised him without hesitation. Lloyd was so happy he might as well have grown wings. When Marie asked about his dream, Lloyd admitted that he had always been the weakest in his village. He couldn't gather firewood or catch fish to save his life. As a kid, he had admired a hero from a novel, and since then, becoming a soldier had been his goal. Marie explained that to enter officer school, one had to pass martial arts, magic, and an interview, emphasizing that martial arts mattered the most. Lloyd felt even more ashamed of his so-called weak body. He explained that it had taken him 6 days just to get there. Marie casually said it would take 6 days even by train, and nearly choked when Lloyd said he ran the entire way. She called that insanely fast, but Lloyd, being Lloyd, said his grandfather only took 2 days. Marie asked if he had run into any monsters, and Lloyd calmly replied that he'd only seen giant grasshoppers and fire-breathing lizards. Marie screamed internally because those were definitely monsters, but Lloyd brushed them off as normal animals, saying only demon lords counted as real monsters. Marie had no idea what kind of freak she was dealing with anymore. During their talk, Lloyd pulled out a handkerchief engraved with an ancient worm, claiming it could erase any stain. Marie was stunned because it had taken her 3 years just to learn about that thing. Lloyd then mentioned he could use rain magic, but Marie said that spell shouldn't even be possible. At that point, she gave up trying to understand him and decided to teach him basic magic the next day. Lloyd was thrilled like a kid given candy. The following day, Lloyd went out and heard rumors about many people gathering for the officer school exam. Townsfolk also whispered that foreign agents were luring monsters into the city. The moment Lloyd heard the word monsters, his brain switched modes and he ran off. Elsewhere, a princess bumped into a man who recognized her and scolded her for disgracing noble dignity. She ignored him, walked into an alley, and immediately ran into a monster that slammed her into a wall. She was seconds from dying when Lloyd showed up, casually beat the monster, and tossed it away like trash. When he checked on her, the princess avoided him, embarrassed about her appearance. Lloyd said he had things to do and left. She quickly introduced herself as Celine and watched him disappear. Back home, Lloyd's face wouldn't leave Selen's mind. She planned to dress nicely next time, but when she looked at the belt on her face, painful memories surfaced. As a child, she had been ostracized and broken by despair. forcing her parents to seek a priest's help. The priest had said only someone truly strong could break the curse. Selin trained relentlessly, yet nothing changed. One day, in frustration, she removed the belt, only to find it came off easily. In that moment, she realized Lloyd was the one. Meanwhile, Lloyd finished buying Marie's groceries and even used the leftover money to buy her gifts, making her unexpectedly happy. At the same time, news spread that Murthohan was increasing recruitment as diplomacy worsened and the queen remained missing. The army needed strength fast. Elsewhere, Murthohan noticed Riho, a wanted mercenary. He believed that once she joined the army, her arrest warrant could be erased. Around the same time, Alan was scolding the princess for wearing the belt and staining his precious honor. Murthohan knew Alan valued honor above all and had vowed to enlist once he became an officer. Riho planned to exploit the situation, but the moment Lloyd appeared with an overwhelming presence, fear kicked in. To make things worse, Lloyd casually complimented her mechanical arm, instantly putting her on edge. As Lloyd greeted them, Selin suddenly showed up and dragged Riho away for questioning. Lloyd quickly explained they had just met, so Selin let it slide. Riho, however, immediately saw Selin as someone useful and began plotting. Soon, the martial arts test began, allowing participants to choose weapons and attack targets. Riho approached Murthohan, making him think she was quitting, but she confirmed she was in, especially with promises of money and a clean record. She wondered what faction Lloyd belonged to, but Murthohan didn't know either, only that Lloyd applied on his own. In his eyes, even if everyone teamed up, beating Lloyd would be impossible. As Riho prepared to compete, Lloyd also got ready for the test. Murthohan wanted to watch, but was dragged away by a colleague, silently hoping Lloyd would pass. Meanwhile, Marie sat back, eating pastries, waiting for news when her master suddenly appeared. She knew very well that no matter how much Lloyd called himself weak, the truth was something else entirely. Because Lloyd was born and raised in Kunran village, the so-called legendary land of heroes, failure was supposed to be impossible for him. Reality, however, did not get that memo, and Lloyd stood in front of the competition results board, staring at it so hard his eyes nearly popped out. Yet his name was nowhere to be found. He reread it again and again, convinced the board was wrong, but the list stayed brutally honest. The next day, Riho and Selin searched everywhere for Lloyd and still couldn't find him. Even Murthohan lost his usual calm, flipping through the list like a madman. In his confusion, he blurted out that anyone not present should raise their hand, instantly earning a scolding from a colleague for saying something that stupid. Colleen then announced that relations between the Kingdom of Azami and the Empire of Zu were so tense that war could break out at any moment. Murthohan muttered that without Lloyd, the country was screwed, while Riho and Selin were close to losing their minds over his disappearance. Colleen continued talking about the disappearance of Princess Azami, but the trio barely listened, their brains still stuck on Lloyd. Left with no choice, Colleen announced that anyone who found the princess would receive massive rewards in both wealth and status. Meanwhile, Lloyd had already accepted defeat and returned home. He understood that both his martial arts and written tests had failed to meet expectations, but the bitterness still gnawed at him. While reading a job advertisement on the street, the same troublesome monster from before appeared again. Lloyd waved his hand like he was swatting a fly and sent it flying without effort. Following the address on the flyer, Lloyd arrived at a restaurant and was immediately attacked by a middle-aged man. Lloyd dodged effortlessly, leaving the man frozen in shock after sensing the insane potential hidden inside the boy. The man suspected Lloyd was there to gather intelligence from a former royal guard like himself. Lloyd, however, calmly explained that he just came because of a job ad. The man didn't buy it and asked what skills Lloyd had. Lloyd confidently said he was good at cooking and cleaning, which nearly broke the man's brain. Lloyd even added that if he claimed second place, no one would dare claim first. The owner thought a duel was coming, but Lloyd instead asked to prove himself by going into the kitchen immediately. While cooking, Lloyd mentioned that he had failed the officer exam. The man assumed Lloyd was lying, but Lloyd explained that he didn't want to return home in shame after everyone placed their hopes on him. So he planned to stay in the city and try again next year. Hearing this, the man slowly accepted that Lloyd might just be an ordinary kid, though his earlier movements still kept him on guard. At the same time, Murthohan was reviewing Lloyd's exam paper and discovered it was covered in what looked like random scribbles. A colleague scolded him for slacking off and chatting with women instead of working. Selin defended Lloyd, claiming he was talented and just had a strange love for art. When Colleen examined the paper, she realized the so-called doodles were actually ancient text. Murthohan's ignorance earned him yet another verbal smackdown. Colleen asked again about Lloyd's whereabouts, but no one had an answer. Back at the restaurant, Lloyd finished a tomato sauce fish dish. The man hesitated, suspecting a trap, but his pride as a former troop leader forced him to taste it. Earlier, Colleen had explained that ancient text could create effects far beyond normal magic, depending on the user's knowledge and power. Murthohan also questioned the interviewer and learned Lloyd had claimed to only know rain magic. The officer didn't believe it, but Colleen pointed out that for someone fluent in ancient magic, a rain spell was nothing special. After tasting the food, the man had no choice but to admit Lloyd's cooking was incredible. He introduced himself as Chrome and accepted Lloyd for the job, though he planned to keep a close eye on him. Colleen regretted letting Lloyd slip away, while Celine resolved to find the missing princess to secure Lloyd's entry into officer school. That evening, Lloyd returned to tell Marie he had failed the test. Alka was so furious, she nearly wanted to wipe the kingdom off the map. Lloyd calmed her down, saying he would try again next year and wished to stay in the city, promising to pay rent properly. Seeing his resolve, Alka agreed and even talked about building an extra room and buying a double bed so she could stay with him, making things awkward fast. Marie seized the moment to ask her master to save the kingdom. She explained that 5 years earlier, the king of Azami had suddenly become obsessed with war. She suspected someone was manipulating him and planned to use the National Founding Festival to declare war. With diplomats and leaders from many nations attending, the situation was extremely dangerous. Marie vowed to uncover the mastermind. Alka told her not to rush, not to involve Lloyd, and to find a way to get him into officer school soon. She revealed that Lloyd becoming a soldier was part of a long-held wish. After Alka left, Marie cracked a joke out of frustration and immediately triggered a medium misfortune curse, leaving her screaming in pain from a sudden cramp. Meanwhile, Riho suggested that Selene handle Lloyd's situation while they focused on finding the missing princess. Murthohan agreed, knowing Lloyd's strength was exactly what the country needed with war approaching. He told Riho that the owner used to be a troop leader who served the princess. Moments later, Crom brought out dishes that left everyone praising nonstop. He mentioned he had just hired a new employee. Murthohan wondered who would willingly work at such a dump until Lloyd walked out with the food. Everyone froze. The person they had been desperately searching for was right in front of them. Murthohan immediately questioned Chrome about Lloyd. Chrome thought Murthohan already knew him, but Murthohan admitted he knew nothing. Chrome sensed Lloyd's terrifying strength and secretly feared the boy might snap at any moment, while wondering how the army could reject someone this powerful. While taking out the trash, Lloyd ran into a monster, treated it like a random animal, tossed it aside, and went back to worrying about garbage disposal. On the way to the incinerator, he spotted Marie entering an alley. 2 soldiers also mentioned monsters and followed her inside. Lloyd decided to follow as well. At the officer's school, Selene heard rumors that someone had seen Lloyd and rushed to investigate only to find it was a lie. Furious, she punished the liar, which prompted local noble Alan to scold her for damaging his honor. He drew his weapon, demanding to teach her a lesson. Selene fought back immediately, driven by her belief in finding her destined person. Alan's speed overwhelmed her, but her belt suddenly counterattacked and saved her at the last moment. Selene believed it was proof of Lloyd's love protecting her. At that exact moment, Lloyd appeared, completely sealing her belief that destiny had arrived. Colleen rushed in to stop the fight, and Chrome's group arrived as well. Selene proudly declared that Lloyd had just fought to protect her. Murthohan immediately questioned that claim, his suspicion rising fast. Alan insisted he had followed military rules and never attacked civilians, but Murthohan didn't give a damn. He coldly snapped back that real soldiers accepted punishment instead of hiding behind excuses. Colleen stepped in, saying Murthohan was pushing things too far, but he dropped a bomb by revealing that Lloyd was the one who wrote the rune text. That single sentence flipped the atmosphere. Colleen immediately ordered Alan and Lloyd to duel. Alan assumed the colonel wanted to see Lloyd's true strength, so he confidently convinced Lloyd to accept. Lloyd tried his usual excuse, saying he was weak, but no one listened. Riho smugly believed Alan would end it in one move, while Murthohan, for once, felt Lloyd was anything but normal. Alan even suggested Lloyd punch him straight in the face. That suggestion scared Murthohan more than any monster. As Lloyd prepared to attack, everyone rushed to stop him, genuinely worried Alan would get deleted from existence. Right then, a strange wind swept in, and Marie suddenly appeared, grabbed Lloyd, and vanished, leaving everyone staring like idiots. After landing safely, Marie scolded Lloyd for being reckless and confronting enemies head-on. Lloyd immediately apologized, deeply touched that she had saved his life, and promised to repay her no matter what. That promise made Marie happy, but she warned him that speaking like that would get him exploited by bad people like her. Lloyd, in peak innocence mode, said she was a good person by nature. That pure sincerity hit Marie straight in the soul, leaving her completely defenseless. Before things got awkward, Chrome showed up and called Lloyd back to help at the restaurant. Lloyd left, and Chrome respectfully bowed to Marie. She was surprised to see him there. Chrome explained he had left the military after failing to protect the princess and now ran a restaurant as cover, while secretly investigating her disappearance and the reason behind the king's sudden shift toward war. Marie said that everything would come to a head on the third day of the festival, when the mastermind would definitely declare war using the king's name. She admitted she still didn't know who was pulling the strings and asked Chrome to help investigate further. Meanwhile, Mirthahan kept working nonstop, forcing Colleen to brew him coffee. She asked why he pushed himself so hard. Mirthahan explained he grew up poor and once watched ZU troops raid his village and steal all their food, planting a deep hatred and a vow to prevent such tragedies from happening again. As for Selin, she was anxious because she hadn't met the important person yesterday. Riho reassured her that if destiny existed, it could happen anytime. The real problem was still finding the princess, otherwise Lloyd entering officer school would remain a fantasy. With no better leads, they decided to visit Marie's information shop. Unexpectedly, they ran into Lloyd there. Celine's imagination instantly went wild, creating dramatic love stories between him and Marie. Riho brushed it off, but Selin insisted destiny was at work. Riho suspected Lloyd had accidentally unsealed the belt, causing Celine's delusions to spiral. While they were confused, Marie returned and immediately collapsed from exhaustion. When she noticed guests, she locked eyes with Selin's sharp stare and became cautious. Lloyd introduced them as friends seeking information. Riho showed a photo and asked Marie to find the person, but Marie instantly refused, saying she wouldn't get involved in the missing princess case. Riho grew suspicious because he hadn't even mentioned the princess yet. When he learned Marie had lived there for 2 years, Celine's heart ached painfully. She originally wanted to ask something else, but guilt in Marie's eyes made Selin mistakenly think Marie was the princess, while her real question was whether Marie was Lloyd's wife. Marie casually admitted she was the princess. Riho was stunned that their target had been right in front of them the whole time. Marie quickly clarified that she and Lloyd were more like family, which relieved Celine. Riho pressed her for lying earlier, but Marie dodged the topic. Once the confusion settled, Selin earnestly asked Marie to help Lloyd get another chance at officer school. Marie agreed on one condition: they would exchange information such as details about the king and military movements. Riho still demanded clarity about her identity, forcing Marie to finally admit the truth. At that moment, Lloyd returned and said he had already recognized Marie as the person who saved him with wind magic and secretly eliminated monsters to protect people. He believed the kingdom was in danger and begged to join Lloyd in the fight. Marie saw this as hope but acted strict, saying he wasn't capable. Lloyd pleaded desperately, but she refused, afraid he would only get hurt. Riho immediately questioned why she had treated Lloyd so harshly, and Celine joined in, scolding her until the two started bickering. Marie laughed, finding them childish, and explained that Kunran village had an unwritten rule forbidding interference in human affairs. If she showed warmth, Lloyd would be taken back and lose his chance to chase his dream. Marie also revealed that many factions were searching for the princess, alive or dead. The one manipulating the king likely wanted to use her as a symbol to stir anti-war forces, which was why she couldn't act openly and needed their help. Riho and Celine understood and agreed. That night, Lloyd questioned whether he was truly strong enough to be a soldier. Marie also lay awake, worrying about the kingdom and planning how to save her father. Suddenly, Alka appeared, scolding Marie for nearly breaking her promise to keep Lloyd out of danger and complaining that Marie had thrown the crystal ball into a well. As punishment, Alka cursed her to say meow after every 10 sentences. To make matters worse, Alka announced she had arranged a date between herself and Lloyd on the festival day, telling Marie not to worry about him anymore. Marie was completely shocked, never expecting her master to ditch her during a crisis. In the following days, Riho and Celine continued investigating the mastermind. Rumors claimed this mysterious person always justified actions by claiming it was for peace. When the festival arrived, Lloyd went with Alka feeling depressed and useless. Alka sensed his mood and tried to cheer him up with games, then chocolate, but nothing worked until monsters suddenly appeared and chaos erupted. At the same time, Chrome met the king and asked to be reinstated. The king stayed silent and Mirthahan told Chrome to leave and wait. Chrome then exposed the truth, accusing Mirthahan as the real mastermind who always used peace as an excuse. Mirthahan mocked the king as a puppet, but the king suddenly struck him down, revealing he had never been controlled and was only using Mirthahan to break a seal. The truth was brutal. The king himself orchestrated the attacks and manipulated everything. Mirthahan realized too late that he had been used. The king transformed Mirthahan into a monster and escaped. Riho risked her life to block Mirthahan. Marie chased the fake king and caught up, fighting desperately to save her father. Just as she was about to strike him down, the imposter spoke in the king's real voice, shaking her resolve and leaving her badly wounded. He lifted her up, ready to finish her off. Marie thought of the apology she never gave Lloyd and refused to fall. Gritting her teeth, she forced herself back up, choosing to fight on despite everything. At that moment, the lunatic finally snapped and screamed that he would rule the world because he was the demon lord Abaddon. Before anyone could even process that nonsense, Lloyd casually snapped his fingers once and every insect monster around instantly collapsed like cheap toys. But Alka was already irritated that someone dared to interrupt her precious date, but then she noticed the giant grasshopper looked oddly familiar, which only made her more annoyed. Lloyd immediately sensed that Marie was in danger and asked the village chief for permission to leave. Even though he kept calling himself weak and knew Alka might get mad, he didn't hesitate for a second. Meanwhile, Marie realized the fake king was actually the demon lord and was furious with herself for not seeing it sooner. She regretted everything, thinking that if she had known earlier, she and Lloyd wouldn't have argued like idiots, and Lloyd would have had a perfectly valid reason to fight since this was a demon lord. When the old monster prepared to strike again, Marie retreated to call for reinforcements. On the way to the palace, Lloyd accidentally punched a monster away and saved Alan's life. Alan shamefully admitted he had been running for his life because the monsters were terrifying. Lloyd understood that fear, but recalled the soldiers he admired, the ones who always moved forward no matter how ugly the enemy was. He told Alan that he had failed the exam, yet still wanted to contribute even a tiny bit to protect the country. Mid-conversation, another monster showed up and Lloyd instantly erased it. Alan snapped that Lloyd shouldn't lie since he had clearly just sent a monster flying with one punch. Lloyd, completely serious, said it was just a harmless bug. He then encouraged Alan, telling him he would definitely grow stronger, and ran off. Moments later, Alan heard people screaming. Remembering Lloyd's words, courage kicked in, and he easily defeated the monsters. Looking up, he saw a massive magic array covering the sky. That array belonged to Alka. She had confirmed these monsters were demon lord minions, and once a demon lord was involved, she refused to sit back. On top of that, they had ruined her date, which was absolutely unforgivable, so punishment was mandatory. Elsewhere, Chrome and Riho were completely outmatched by Murthohan. With no other choice, Celine used herself as bait, fully convinced that a hero would appear when the heroine was in danger. She kept provoking Murthohan, but her belt automatically countered every attack. She was actually annoyed because this meant she couldn't dramatically fall into Lloyd's arms. Riho didn't care about her fantasies and ordered her to keep Murthohan busy while she went to find Lloyd. Just as Riho left, Lloyd showed up, making Celine overjoyed. Unfortunately for her, Lloyd ignored the romantic setup and only checked if Chrome was safe. After understanding the situation, Lloyd calmly asked Murthohan what he planned to do next. Murthohan answered with nonstop attacks, all completely useless. Lloyd then activated a mind-awakening technique, reminding Murthohan that soldiers were heroes who protected peace and people's lives. He spoke about the noble ideals Murthohan once believed in. Murthohan slowly regained his senses and admitted everything he had done was for a peaceful future, a world without war where people could smile. Just as the mood turned emotional, Lloyd suddenly ruined it by bluntly saying Murthohan probably drank too much and dressed up as some weird creature. Everyone's soul took damage. Murthohan snapped again, went berserk from the insult, and charged Lloyd, only to get headbutted into a wall and knocked out cold. Lloyd was about to search for Marie when she suddenly rushed in. He apologized for acting on his own, but instead of scolding him, she welcomed him with relief. Right then, the demon lord appeared, but Lloyd innocently thought he was just another drunk civilian disguised as the king. Marie shamelessly bragged that she had already beaten the final boss and suggested Lloyd use ancient rune text to cleanse the old man of impurities. The demon lord struggled weakly before being completely purified by Lloyd and fading away. With tears in his eyes, Lloyd healed Marie's wounds, and all misunderstandings between them vanished. Celine, lacking any official authority, could only fume in silence. Despite the chaos, the National Founding Festival ended safely. Later, Lloyd ran into his old sworn brother, who congratulated him on defeating the demon lord before vanishing just as suddenly. Alka then rushed over, tempting Lloyd with her famous chocolate banana. Lloyd mentioned he had just met his neighbor, but when he turned around, the man was gone, making Alka suspicious. A few days later, Chrome was reinstated and returned to work at the officer school. When Colleen asked about Murthohan, Chrome mocked her curiosity and immediately earned a brutal kick to the stomach. According to royal judgment, Murthohan was exiled to a dangerous land, where he was almost eaten by a giant white rabbit until Alka saved him. She ordered him to tend wheat fields as repayment, explaining that the grasshopper demon lord had once caused famine, and she had used rune text to modify wheat to grow year-round. Remembering how his village survived thanks to that wheat, Murthohan was deeply moved. After assigning him the task, Alka went to see Lloyd. She casually barged into his room while he was changing, only to be dragged out by Marie for questioning. Alka admitted she wanted Lloyd to become a soldier just to see him in uniform. Marie called that reason ridiculous and sent her back to the village, deciding to stay and enjoy her free life. Moments later, Lloyd appeared in uniform, shocking everyone. Marie wondered who had helped him get admitted when Selin's group arrived to invite him to school. Selin and Alka instantly clashed, and Alka tried to curse Selin, but the belt protected her. Alka revealed she had planned to hurt Selin with rune text, but Lloyd's destined red thread stopped it. She realized the belt was made from the village's hereditary treasure skin, capable of blocking all malicious intent. Alan also showed up, and Lloyd revealed that Alan had helped him get admitted. Alan explained that Lloyd had saved him during the monster attack, and he used that merit to secure Lloyd's enrollment. Selin mocked him, but Alan said fulfilling his master's dream mattered more than fame. Even after being rejected, he stubbornly refused to give up until Lloyd accepted. Alka sneak attacked Selin out of spite, the two bickering nonstop while Lloyd's group discussed discipleship. But the internal chaos was unbearable. Finally, Marie snapped and sent the old woman back to the village, allowing Lloyd and his friends to begin their student life in peace. On the first day at the academy, Lloyd immediately proved his overwhelming strength, effortlessly surpassing everyone and making it painfully clear that normal rules did not apply to him anymore. After that chaos, Colleen announced that class would be postponed to select a team for a friendly match against ZU Magic Academy. Alan already knew the painful truth. In recent years, Azami's school had been getting stomped non-stop, so Colleen was desperate for a win this time. She began explaining the 3 basic ways to use magic. One involved chanting incantations while drawing symbols. Another relied on magic stones or wands as intermediaries, and the last combined tools and raw control. Once the theory ended, Colleen brought out magic-resistant mannequins for practice. Selin and Riho went first, smoothly casting fire magic and immediately catching Colleen's attention. When it was Lloyd's turn, disaster struck. He accidentally created a massive firestorm that erased an entire forest from existence. Lloyd calmly assumed he had failed miserably. After several more attempts, Colleen suggested he try wind magic instead, but Riho objected, warning it could cause casualties. That concern was justified when the mannequin exploded into hundreds of pieces. Left with no choice, Colleen apologized and officially banned Lloyd from participating before he wiped out the continent. During the break, Selin asked to learn healing magic because she wanted to heal someone she loved. Riho pointed out that healing magic was insanely difficult. Many people gave up because even a tiny mistake could permanently mess someone up. Alan argued that the harder something was, the more important it was to learn it properly. Lloyd agreed, so Colleen opened a healing class and immediately used Alan as a test subject. Despite his dramatic screaming, Alan survived and accepted his fate. Another day, while Marie was resting, 2 visitors arrived. After introductions, she realized they were the Rock Joe sisters, who wanted her to find the person in a photo, Riho. At that moment, Philo sensed Lloyd's overwhelming power and attacked him on instinct. Even after being hit, Lloyd stood there unharmed and apologized, thinking she was aiming at a fly. When Marie accidentally revealed she knew the person in the photo, she quickly stopped herself. Philo completely forgot her mission and insisted Lloyd become her master, even offering to serve him. Lloyd reminded her this was Marie's house, so Philo immediately asked Marie for permission. The sheer intensity pissed Marie off and she kicked both of them outside. After flying out, Lloyd calmly said his ribs were probably broken, but would heal in 3 hours. Marie told herself she needed to get used to living with this walking violation of reality. While she was spacing out about the future, Alka suddenly appeared and scolded her for taking Lloyd to the Holy Sword Village. She was visibly irritated seeing Marie smile like an idiot over Lloyd. When Lloyd stepped outside, Marie was suddenly turned into a butterfly. She only returned to human form at midnight, and unfortunately, Lloyd saw her completely naked. He froze, pretended he saw nothing, and quietly walked away, leaving Marie to mentally combust. As the friendly match approached, Chrome noticed how hard everyone was training and wanted to prepare rewards. Just at that moment, Roll arrived. Roll was ruthless, climbing her way up by crushing everyone in her path. She openly threatened Riho, warning her to return or lose something precious. Riho was furious, but Roll said she'd wait for an answer on match day. Before leaving, Philo reminded Lloyd to consider taking her as a disciple. Selin immediately questioned her intentions, while Lloyd innocently said she wanted to live together, which sent Selin straight into rage mode. In later classes, Lloyd noticed Riho was clearly troubled. That night, Marie was still panicking over Lloyd seeing her naked when Lloyd suddenly asked how to make someone happy. Marie misunderstood and eagerly suggested cake and tea like a date. Lloyd worried he was too ordinary, but Marie reassured him that girls love that kind of thing. So, Lloyd decided to invite Riho on a date, completely shattering Marie's expectations. Selin, meanwhile, was furious, afraid Lloyd would stop paying attention to her. She even showed Riho a handsome picture of Lloyd, but Riho didn't care. Alan teased Selin and immediately earned a kick. Soon after, Lloyd directly invited Riho to tea. At the cafe, Lloyd gently encouraged her to speak honestly because he could tell she wasn't happy. Selin secretly followed them, crawling in rage until Alan spotted her and got beaten into silence. Riho finally opened up about her past. Roll had taught her magic and given her a prosthetic arm after she was injured, which once made her happy. In truth, the arm was meant to drain life force to draw the holy sword. Unable to remove it, Riho ran away. Roll framed her for crimes, turning her into a wanted criminal and destroying her faith. Lloyd immediately held her hand and promised that even if he was ordinary now, he would become someone she could rely on. Seelan suddenly appeared, scolding Riho for hiding everything, but also admitting she'd be lonely without her. The group united, fully determined to win the match. The next day, Roll arrived with the Philo sisters. Philo grabbed Lloyd's hand, asking him to face her, instantly angering Sealan. Colleen was about to announce Lloyd's exclusion when Makona suddenly appeared, declaring she would substitute to prove herself superior. The match began. Makona unleashed brutal wind and rain magic, but quickly exhausted herself. Lloyd offered help and was immediately dismissed as useless. He accepted it without complaint. Afterward, Makona went to Marie for treatment and was moved by her smile. Marie mistook her blushing for a fever and checked her temperature, making things even more awkward. Lloyd's arrival ended the moment, and Makona left feeling like an outsider. A few days later, the official friendly match began. Riho declared she would protect the orphanage and make Roll pay. Chrome announced the prize, a huge sum of money and a chance to touch the holy sword. Riho questioned the origin of her prosthetic arm, raising Colleen's suspicion. Once Colleen understood the truth, Roll became furious and forced herself into the match, making Colleen break rules to let Lloyd participate. Riho also asked Colleen to teach her healing magic. At the same time, Alka kept tormenting Marie for missing Lloyd's glory, but villagers needing help forced her to leave. Before going, she cursed Marie to fall every 10 minutes unless she sincerely repented, turning Marie's life into pure suffering. The match rules were announced. One-on-one battles, best of 3. Only magic, wands, stones, or tools allowed. Physical attacks meant instant disqualification. Roll mocked Lloyd, but Sealan defended him. In the first match, Sealan faced Philo. Her belt failed at first, nearly costing her the fight. After struggling, Sealan gained control and even restrained her opponent, but the referee ruled her disqualified for physical attacks. Colleen played her trump card, Lloyd versus the younger sister. Confident due to the magic-only rules, the girl trapped Lloyd in a water sphere. 20 minutes passed and Lloyd was still fine, forcing her to release it. Fog and water walls followed, but Lloyd broke through and blasted her into a wall with wind magic. He won overwhelmingly but felt embarrassed for misreading the incantation. The final match was Riho versus Roll. Roll used the Midran arm to boost power and tried to exhaust Riho, declaring her defeat inevitable. She grabbed Riho's prosthetic arm thinking she had won, but Riho countered with her remaining arm. Using Roll's own teachings, she embedded magic stones into the wound and sealed them with healing magic, horrifying Roll. Riho then faked a high-level chant, causing Roll to panic and faint on the spot. Riho won cleanly, proving her intelligence and adaptability. Roll, defeated yet still obsessed with power, could only cling to her broken ambition as the match ended. Before Roll could even process that creepy revelation, she jolted awake and immediately questioned her assistant about the holy sword. That was when she learned the worst possible news. The sword had been handed to Lloyd. To make things worse, Riho and Sealan were both hospitalized, and the assistant added another spicy detail. The person who pulled the sword was connected to an Eastern witch who lived with her younger brother and spoiled him rotten. Roll's brain instantly shifted into villain mode and she cooked up a dirty plan. She ordered Philo to break in and kidnap the brother to force the witch's cooperation. Philo stormed in and found Marie kneeling in front of a crystal ball, suffering from Alka's cursed falling punishment. In the chaos, Marie even dropped the hairpin Lloyd had given her. Philo, using 0 brain cells, assumed the crystal ball was some priceless artifact that needed protecting and stole it instead. When Lloyd returned home with the holy sword, he found Marie's hairpin on the floor and a note saying someone important had been captured and that he should bring the sword to the southern lighthouse if he wanted them alive. Right on cue, Alan showed up and Lloyd casually invited him along for the rescue like it was a grocery run. Meanwhile, Roll nearly lost her sanity when Philo returned with a crystal ball instead of a hostage. Before she could explode, her assistants reported that Lloyd and Alan were already on the way with the holy sword. When Lloyd encountered Philo again, she immediately demanded a rematch and refused to say where Marie was. To her, Lloyd was the perfect opponent for a life-or-death duel in exchange for information. Lloyd agreed but panicked internally since his track record against girls was basically a disaster. Spotting a wooden barrel nearby, his brain sparked, and he challenged Philo to arm wrestling, claiming it was a sacred martial tradition from his hometown. When Philo heard about Kunran village, she laughed, thinking she had finally cracked the secret behind Lloyd's ridiculous strength. The arm wrestling match escalated from the ground straight into the sky. Just as Philo thought victory was hers, Lloyd suddenly overpowered her and slammed her down, winning cleanly. Instead of being upset, Philo immediately confessed her love, deciding Lloyd was worthy of her affection and that she refused to marry anyone outside martial arts. Lloyd ignored the confession completely and demanded answers about Marie, forcing Philo to explain everything. When Mina and Alan arrived, Philo proudly announced she had found the love of her life, like this was a dating show. Elsewhere, Alka confronted Roll to ask about Lloyd and got shut down hard. Roll scolded her, which was a massive mistake. Alka snapped and unleashed her fury on Roll, and Alan stepped in to stop it, earning himself glowing headlines the next day. While recovering in the hospital, Roll finally reflected on her life. She remembered her days at the orphanage with Riho. Back then, Riho loved healing magic, while Roll insisted on slow, proper teaching. They had once promised to make the orphanage a better place together. Back in the present, Riho visited, peeled apples, and said she would return, stirring Roll's attachment to a past she had already ruined. A few days later, the Philo sisters quietly entered the forest on a new mission to capture a man. According to Mina, the king himself had assigned the job with a massive budget, and she was already dreaming about a luxury steak dinner. Before starting, they had to escort the target to the medical station since a long holiday was coming up. Riho had to miss the horse race, which annoyed her. Celine suddenly appeared in a depressive state because her parents were forcing her to go home, completely destroying her dream of a hot spring trip with Lloyd. She even considered burning her house down to force a date, but Lloyd rejected the idea, crushing her delusions. Celine immediately jumped to imagining marriage anyway, and Riho had to remind her to have some dignity. That only got Riho interrogated about why she had gone on a date with Lloyd. Before she could explain, Alan barged in, bragging that Lloyd was attending a matchmaking meeting, already imagining thousands of romantic scenarios no one wanted to hear. When Lloyd got home, he found Marie and Alka locked in a fierce rivalry. He calmly announced that he would start a part-time job the next day, instantly shutting them both up. Chrome introduced him to a large hotel owned by an acquaintance, desperately short on staff. Lloyd accepted immediately. Alka claimed she was just visiting, while Marie decided to vacation nearby, but Lloyd shut them down, saying he didn't want anyone relying on him. The next day, before Lloyd even arrived, his overwhelming presence terrified the hotel manager Ramon, a former Royal Guard captain. Ramon showed him around and explained the strange incidents happening lately. Staff members had been falling into unexplained comas. Investigators were on the way, but Lloyd offered to help with anything outside his main duties. The moment Ramon left, a lazy employee named Kikeyu dumped all the work on Lloyd. While she rambled, Lloyd cleaned everything perfectly, even polishing the ceiling until it shined. Kikeyu was left questioning what kind of monster he was. Ramon later brought Lloyd to change into uniform and warned him that a high-ranking noble would arrive the next day, reminding him to smile no matter how badly the guest behaved. The next morning, they welcomed Furionin, a noble with the personality of a broken clock. One moment he was furious, the next he was calmly drinking wine. He asked Lloyd about the forest, and Lloyd casually remarked that it was beautiful but wasted if used only for viewing. Surprised by Lloyd's knowledge, Furionin learned he had been taught by woodcutters. Furionin revealed his family background in forestry and agreed that forests lost their meaning when treated as decoration. While everyone else praised the scenery blindly, only Lloyd understood its true value, making Furionin feel understood for the first time. That night, Kikeyu secretly reported illegal cultivation of plant seedlings to Furionin. He suspected Ramon's involvement and learned about a stolen demon lord seedling capable of enhancing physical abilities by parasitizing hosts. The unconscious incidents made sense now. Kikeyu mentioned Lloyd's abnormal strength, and Furionin ordered her to secretly medicate him. The next morning, she brought Lloyd tea laced with herbs, but Ramon suddenly appeared and drank it instead, immediately spitting it out from the awful taste. Kikeyu panicked and ran, while Ramon realized the situation was far more serious than expected. As all this unfolded, Riho decided to relax and enjoy her vacation, completely unaware that another nightmare was already growing beneath the surface. Soon after, Lloyd was casually assigned to give a massage to a guest, only to realize fate was trolling him again because the guest was Riho. He calmly explained that strange incidents were happening around the hotel, and he wanted to help investigate. After setting things up, he politely asked Riho to lie down, awkwardly apologizing because he absolutely could not handle that weird imagination game of touching someone's wooden board like hers. Right then, a sharp scream echoed through the building, perfectly killing the mood. Meanwhile, Celine arrived at a nearby hotel with her father, who had already picked out an outfit like this with some royal livestock auction. The moment she finished changing, she was dragged straight into a matchmaking meeting and immediately ran into Alan. Celine tried pretending she was busy to escape, but her father shut that down instantly. Forced to attend, she started mentally planning Alan's slow and painful demise. When the door opened, Celine charged in and grabbed Lloyd, dragging him into the room like she had just claimed her property. The two fathers didn't interfere and instead discussed serious matters like this chaos was normal. Lloyd was confused why Celine was there, but she confidently claimed it was destiny and love doing its thing. They tried acting affectionate, only for Riho to step in and warn them to tone it down. Riho questioned why Celine didn't even ask why Alan wasn't the matchmaking candidate, but Celine honestly didn't care. It turned out Alan had fainted in the bathroom earlier, so Thurianen shoved Lloyd in as a substitute. Once Celine realized Lloyd was there to investigate the incident, she cooked up a ridiculous but effective plan. She would use the date to gather clues while Riho investigated from the inside. The plan was so absurdly detailed that Riho had no choice but to agree. On their first date, Celine stared at Lloyd nonstop like she was trying to burn his soul. She pressured him into complimenting her beauty, and when he hesitated, she used intimidation like a professional menace. Lloyd panicked, worried people would notice how weird they looked, and gave in. Celine then went full hyper mode, completely exhausting him. Just in time, Riho appeared and rescued Lloyd from social execution. Over the next few days, Thurianen kept using a body double for matchmaking, making Ramon swear to expose every dirty trick. Riho tried asking Celine what their mission was, but Celine only remembered that they were supposed to investigate something. Around then, Soma arrived delivering goods and casually dropped the bombshell that someone had planted explosives and gasoline to cause chaos. Riho suspected Celine immediately, but Celine played innocent and clung to Lloyd. Lloyd introduced Soma as a brother figure from his village and proudly mentioned he was now an officer's school student. Soma congratulated him and left, while Celine dumped the delivery work on Riho and monopolized Lloyd for the entire day. Later, while relaxing on a yacht, Celine talked about how the cursed belt had ruined her life and how her father tried everything to help. Once the curse was broken, her family forced her into nonstop matchmaking, which ironically led her to Lloyd, her so-called destined love. Lloyd humbly said he owed everything to everyone's help. Celine reminded him that because he was kind to people, he deserved good things. Feeling hopeful, Lloyd asked her to keep a secret and they shared a quiet moment. Kikayu desperately wanted to separate Lloyd from Celine, but Celine stuck to him like glue. Only after Celine left did Kikayu approach, but Lloyd still sensed her presence. She offered to teach him magic as a reward, then suddenly suspected the needed item might be inside Lloyd's younger brother, which was already a red flag. Before she could act, Celine returned and attacked her. Kikayu dodged, countered, and Celine joined the chaos. When Lloyd walked out shirtless with a ridiculous six-pack, Celine completely lost focus, letting Kikayu escape. Lloyd awkwardly explained he was shirtless to learn magic properly, while Celine suggested hot springs to cleanse his soul. That plan died instantly when Riho showed up, followed by Alka and Marie, making Lloyd deeply uncomfortable. The Philo sisters stepped in with brute force to protect everyone. Riho thought they were enemies, but Mina clarified they were from the Azami kingdom and that Pillow would now be their classmate. Mina revealed her mission was to investigate the hotel disappearances. Alka guessed the issue involved triant wood spreading from Lloyd's village. Everyone was shocked to learn Celine was a village chief. Alka realized the triant seedlings had already infested the hotel. Marie warned that if mishandled, the kingdom's map might need redrawing. Lloyd immediately decided to act with the village chief. Pillow threw Alka away to stop her from stealing credit. Kikayu discovered Thurianen's assistant was parasitized and confronted him. When he attacked, Lloyd arrived, casually complimented his new look, and triggered the man's rage. The assistant declared himself the Wood Demon Lord and unleashed the Triants. Lloyd praised his acting and wiped them out effortlessly, turning them back into normal wood, still thinking it was all fake. Things escalated when Minoki appeared, using the Demon Lord's seedling to cause chaos. Everyone worked together to stop him. The Philo sisters kicked him out, Riho coordinated attacks, Celine nearly died, and Lloyd ultimately destroyed Minoki's core after learning the monster was real. It was Lloyd's first real monster kill, and he was genuinely happy because everyone trusted him. Afterward, Alka wiped memories and repaired the hotel. Apologies were exchanged. Celine's father promised to support her path, and Celine went right back to imagining marriage. Alka demanded a massage, and Lloyd accidentally practiced a bone-breaking technique on her. That night, Soma gave Makona a dangerous drug made from Trinit and Abaddon. She survived the transformation through sheer will and prepared to challenge Lloyd. Back home, Lloyd continued helping Marie, even feeding her breakfast until Celine appeared and attacked Marie for touching her husband. Lloyd announced they were heading to fight the Great Serpent. Marie complained the king was pushing Lloyd into danger, ignoring the fact that Lloyd himself was the danger. Alan panicked, Celine got excited, Philo claimed the right to go with Lloyd, and Colleen ordered everyone to prepare. The king arrived looking awful, warning them the Great Serpent was heavily guarded but dangerous. Hearing this, Soma decided to move early to seize it first, while Alka chased after him, already one step behind. Before entering the dungeon, Lloyd carefully said he wanted everyone to work together as a team. Riho immediately agreed without hesitation, while Selin and Philo somehow turned it into a jealousy contest, convinced Lloyd was singling them out on purpose. Alan was spotted guarding the entrance, which shocked Riho. The two blonde girls instantly mocked him, saying if he was scared, he should just admit it. Alan loudly denied trembling, even though his shaking knees exposed him completely. Elsewhere, Marie was casually walking when Alka suddenly showed up and forcibly dragged her along, demanding she guide everyone to the Great Serpent. As the group moved deeper, Philo randomly asked Riho if she liked Lloyd. Selin jumped in aggressively, forcing Riho to confess everything about dating and being close to Lloyd, even pushing her into a corner for interrogation like some unhinged romance trial. Riho finally surrendered and reminded them they still had a mission, not a damn soap opera. A massive noise echoed through the area. Lloyd instantly assumed the Great Serpent had appeared and rushed ahead, only to find Marie and Alka had fallen and were smashing through walls to create a shortcut. When Marie went ahead to scout, she found Makona resting inside a massive triant. The moment Makona woke up, her expression darkened as she declared she was waiting for the man who stole her love. Marie instantly sensed danger and imagined all kinds of awkward disasters, but still tried to ask who Makona loved. Makona refused to answer and suddenly attacked Marie to bait Lloyd out. Her behavior was completely unstable, and making Marie suspect triant parasitism had messed up her mind. Hearing Marie cry for help, Lloyd appeared immediately. The moment Makona saw him, she transformed into a monster and declared a duel, even threatening to keep harassing Marie if Lloyd didn't hurry. Tree roots exploded everywhere, but Lloyd wiped them out easily. Makona charged and pinned him to the wall, convinced she had won, only for Lloyd to escape calmly and say her attacks were nothing compared to daily life in Kunran village. That sentence flipped Makona's switch. She exploded in rage, accusing him of mocking her with some legendary fairy tale village. The noise drew Riho and the others rushing in. Marie warned them to stay back, but Makona changed targets and attacked, forcing Lloyd to block the blow. She blamed everyone for Lloyd getting hurt, but he calmly said their presence was the reason he could fight at all. Even with a wound that wouldn't heal easily, he stood tall and proudly called himself a true soldier. Makona completely lost it and went berserk. The ground cracked, rocks exploded, and everyone was knocked down. She pushed Lloyd into a corner with non-stop attacks until Lloyd grabbed one of her tentacles and spun her like a damn windmill. When it ended, everyone praised Lloyd's victory. Even the Great Serpent appeared, complimenting him and saying he was impressive. Lloyd didn't recognize him, which the Serpent brushed off, saying Lloyd was the size of a peppercorn back then. The Serpent introduced himself as Viratora, guardian beast of Kunran village, responsible for protecting the seal and maintaining Alka's power. Lloyd asked why he was here, which instantly pissed Viratora off. It turned out Alka had used his back skin to make a belt strap, which offended him so badly that he ran away. Marie then questioned who had parasitized Makona with Triant, and Sue appeared. Lloyd immediately sensed danger from him. As Sue challenged Lloyd, Alka burst out from underground, demanding payback while barely remembering why the Great Serpent had gone wild. Taking advantage of the chaos, Sue erased Viratora, weakening the barrier. Normally, this would leave Alka powerless, but she still delivered a terrifying blow that shocked everyone. The truth was, Viratora had escaped death by hiding inside Selin's belt. Apparently, all this drama started when Alka skinned him, sold the belt, and triggered this century-long beef. Sue declared he would force Kunran village to release the last dungeon and vanished with the barrier. Meanwhile, Alan rushed in after hearing the noise. Seeing a monster-shaped shadow, he assumed it was the Great Serpent and swung his sword, accidentally collapsing the cellar. Soldiers misunderstood everything and believed Alan had earth-shattering power. Alka cursed Sue non-stop, even though the collapse was technically her fault, then ordered everyone to escape through the crystal ball. Back at the capital, Alan was rewarded for supposedly defeating the Great Serpent and destroying Dandian. He tried to refuse, but the king praised his integrity and crowned him Dragon Slayer anyway. Alan did absolutely nothing and still walked away legendary. That night, Lloyd kept thinking about Sue, noticing the name matched a character from his favorite book. During the celebration, Alka appeared again and dragged Selin to Kunran village. The king announced an official match between Azami and the ZU Empire, meant to improve relations. He planned to send Azami's strongest warrior, though the identity remained secret. Alka led everyone through the forest in a bulky car, even though she could teleport because someone important was waiting ahead. The kids got excited about treasure hunting, marriage registration, and fighting strong opponents. But Marie shut that down immediately, reminding them the real goal was healing Viratora. On the way, Marie worried about Chrome and Colleen leaving the palace during such a tense time. In reality, the king was eyeing Alan and Mina had been ordered to bring him into the match venue. Alka guided them to a cave where Dr. Huge lived, known as the King of the Dwarf Tribe. Nobody believed that title, but in truth, only Huge could handle such responsibility. Both Huge and Alka looked like students, but had souls older than most nations. Huge immediately grabbed Viratora and demanded to know why he left home. Viratora blamed Alka, causing Huge to tear into her. Alka fired back, reminding them that turning jewels into a belt for Lloyd was Viratora's idea in the first place. Completely exposed, Huge pushed everyone toward the village. When they arrived, the village was shockingly peaceful, yet suffocatingly heavy. The locals lived insanely. They jumped between floors instead of using stairs and threw letters across miles like it was nothing. Lloyd explained this was normal countryside living. He then greeted his grandmother, who hadn't seen him in years. A neighbor showed up asking her to load magic into a gun so he could shoot himself to the mountain. He flew off course due to low magic, and Lloyd casually explained that villagers often overshot and wouldn't arrive until the next day. As everyone processed how insane this place was, Lloyd's grandfather appeared carrying a massive fish. Philo immediately challenged him to a duel with the so-called demon god. One glance and the old man recognized her stance as his own martial art. Lloyd explained Philo had figured it out herself and revealed the divine fist technique was just the village's morning exercise. Philo was mentally destroyed, realizing her lifelong martial art was grandma-level stretching. The grandfather was about to duel Philo, but Riho quickly volunteered to carry the fish home. The moment she lifted it, Riho instantly turned to stone. Meanwhile, Colleen asked Alka about Mirthohan's whereabouts and immediately went to find him. After days apart, the two finally met again. The reunion was anything but romantic. Mirthohan greeted Colleen with such a violent shock that she blushed in pure embarrassment. To make it worse, the idiot seriously thought she had rushed over because she needed the bathroom. That single brain-dead comment sent Colleen into rage mode, and she punched him without hesitation. Even then, she couldn't understand why her heart was stupid enough to like someone this clueless. Elsewhere, Celine met Lloyd's family for the first time and immediately went full psycho bride mode. She rushed over, pulled out a marriage registration form, and tried to get signatures on the spot. Before anyone could stop her madness, a strange noise echoed through the sky. A flying divine lizard appeared, and Alka instantly threatened to roast it into charcoal. Riho saw profit instead of danger and jumped in. The moment she realized it was actually a massive dragon, she screamed and ran for her life. The village kids, completely fearless, started throwing paper airplanes at the dragon while demanding its horn. After getting bullied by literal children, the dragon fled in shame. Celine laughed at Riho until she noticed her precious marriage form had been turned into a paper toy. Her soul left her body. At dinner, Riho teased Celine again, but Celine had to behave because she was sitting in front of her future in-laws. Lloyd's grandfather apologized to Philo, saying he could only teach a few basic moves due to time limits. Hearing the word basic attached to techniques that nearly killed her, Philo almost cried. Then, Alka casually announced that today was a celebration for her wedding with Lloyd, instantly killing the mood at the table. The grandfather quickly fixed the situation, explaining it was just a welcome party since Lloyd had become a soldier and brought friends home. During the meal, everyone praised the food. Mirthohan proudly announced he had caught the main ingredient himself that morning. The praise stopped instantly when Riho and Celine learned the sauce was made from giant squid ink. They nearly puked. The final boss was a human-faced salad that traumatized everyone, yet somehow tasted amazing. After eating, Riho voluntarily cleaned up, making Celine suspicious that she was scheming again. Before the elders left, they bluntly asked Lloyd which girl was his girlfriend. Lloyd turned red and nervously explained they were all just classmates. Still, Riho caught the attention of a brown-haired woman due to her housewife energy, while Lloyd's grandfather silently approved of Philo for her insane martial strength. Celine and Riho were crushed. While Philo stood tall like she had already won the family approval arc, Alka finally snapped and told everyone to go home. Furious, Celine went to Viratora for help with a new plan. Viratora suggested using the talking belt or turning into a magical girl to get closer to kids. Huge overheard and kindly designed a new form for Viratora only to get roasted for it. Later, Huge privately told Alka about Soma wanting to release the Demon Lord. Since it was still speculation, Alka hesitated. What truly scared her was that Soma was close to regaining his memories, and nobody knew what kind of disaster that would cause. Late at night, Celine and Philo mocked Riho for receiving a new dress. When Riho learned it was expensive, her merchant instincts activated. She immediately took it off and stored it to sell later. Lloyd walked in with tea and snacks and accidentally witnessed everything. Philo reacted instantly, kicking Lloyd straight toward the mountain and tying Riho up so she wouldn't interfere. Elsewhere, Mirthohan sincerely apologized to Marie for his past mistakes. Marie felt a strange sense of déjà vu and told him to explain everything properly. Mirthohan confessed that a strange merchant once gave him an egg. For reasons he couldn't explain, he offered it to the king. After inhaling something from the egg, the king changed completely, like he was being controlled. The merchant, around 60 years old, kept asking him who he thought he really was. That phrase hit Marie hard because she had heard it before. The next morning, Viratora urged Alka to restore his body. If Viratora vanished, Alka would lose her immortality and the seal of Last Dungeon would collapse. Alka stayed indifferent, pissing him off, though he couldn't do anything about it. Soon, the group arrived at Last Dungeon, also known as the Ultimate Prison. Riho got excited, expecting mountains of treasure until she learned it was filled only with demon lords. Suppressing escaped demon lords had always been the villagers' duty. Lloyd felt confused because he had never even beaten a proper monster, let alone a demon lord, making the people beside him feel uneasy. Viratora was both the village's guardian beast and Alka's power source. Alka transferred all injuries to him, granting herself immortality. When Riho asked what Last Dungeon really was, the explanation was so long and confusing that nobody understood it. In simple terms, it was a massive source of magic power formed from ancient world-level rune text. Alka got scolded again for using Viratora's skin. She defended herself by blaming Huge, saying she was told to make an apron because it was waterproof and oil-resistant. Huge ignored that excuse and focused on the real problem. Alka could no longer control her power. If this wasn't sealed soon, demon lords would flood the world. Huge also warned them to guard the holy sword carefully, flashing a suspicious smile that made Riho uneasy. Huge then took Seelan's belt, making her cry uncontrollably, and began the ritual to resurrect Viratora. The ritual involved tenderizing pork belly, wrapping it with the belt, and frying it. After resting the meat, Huge dropped it into sauce and simmered it for 3 hours. When it was done, she flicked Alka's forehead painfully. The ritual had severed Alka's connection to Last Dungeon, turning her into a normal girl with the power level of a 9-year-old. Hearing this, everyone took turns venting years of trauma caused by Alka's bullying. Marie wanted to let everything out too, but froze under her master's glare. Huge then urged everyone to go down the mountain to attend the royal match. Lloyd was excited to watch Alan compete, while Chrome returned early to prepare the arena. While waiting for Viratora's resurrection, Huge decided to visit too, saying she had something private to discuss with Alka. In the forest, Huge suddenly activated a trap, dropping Alka into a deep pit. The truth was revealed. The ritual wasn't to save Viratora, but to seal Alka completely and free Last Dungeon. Huge declared she would recreate the world, fully believing in her twisted plan. By the time Alka understood, the pit was sealed shut. Meanwhile, Celine and Philo still refused to leave, dreaming about marrying Lloyd. Huge lied, saying Alka was gathering weapons to guard against Marie. The moment Marie's name came up, Seelan panicked and ran off. Huge continued manipulating Lloyd into searching for Alka while calmly following the group. Colleen suddenly remembered she hadn't said goodbye to her crush when he appeared out of nowhere. Everyone expected villagers to follow, but it was only Mirthohan, holding vegetables as a gift for Marie. Since the gate had closed, he couldn't return. Huge seized the moment, saying things would be easier without Alka, and subtly used Lloyd to trap her below. Seelan and Philo grew even more upset, but Huge reassured them it was only for one day. Colleen happily dragged her crush back to Azami to rest, dumping all responsibilities on Chrome. Just as Huge had planned, the group left, completely unaware they had walked straight into a nightmare. After selling the dungeon loot, Riho walked away with a whole box of gold, officially entering her rich but still greedy era. By coincidence, Mina ran into Riho and the two decided to walk around and gossip. While chatting non-stop, Mina accidentally ate all the skewers meant for a patient, forcing her to buy them again like an idiot. Later, they visited a woman preparing to publish a book. Her wounds had healed nicely, but her personality was still a complete disaster. When Riho asked who had pushed Roll to draw the holy sword, the woman said she never saw the instigator's face. She only remembered the man constantly asking others who they thought he was, with a child behind him making candy-sucking noises. Riho instantly thought of Huge and felt chills crawl up her spine. When Riho reached the arena, she was assigned guard duty since both kings were about to appear. Colleen was too busy, so Chrome dragged Mina along to protect the king. Riho told everyone to relax and enjoy the event, while Celine used the opportunity to spam Lloyd with thousands of love messages like a desperate bot. On the opposite side, Alan was trying to escape from the arena, crushed by pressure after being labeled a hero and placed under everyone's microscope. As Alan mentally collapsed, the neighboring king arrived. When the king of Azami appeared, Riho immediately warned him about the danger and urged him to cancel the match. The king turned to Chrome, questioning their credibility. Chrome calmly replied that they were close friends of the princess. That single sentence earned Riho instant VIP access. The king dragged her inside, casually eating cake while discussing Marie-related incidents like it was tea time. Elsewhere, Alka was hiding underground, convinced no one would ever find her. Then Lloyd appeared like some divine idiot hero. He said he had searched mountains and forests all day. Remembering how he often fell into holes as a child, Lloyd figured this place was the answer. This was where he had sworn to become strong, so nobody would worry about him again. Now he declared that he would stand up and protect everyone. He admitted he still had a long way to go, but his words hit Alka hard. She thanked him for restoring her faith and vowed to stand beside him to save the world. That night, a priest asked Huge about the plan's progress. Huge replied confidently that she had sealed the village gate, so everything would go smoothly. She handled strategy while Soma took charge of combat. She believed Makona, despite her shattered sanity after losing to Lloyd, would still obey. Everything was set for the next day. Meanwhile, Lloyd learned from his uncle that Huge had destroyed the gate to Azami. Thankfully, Alka still had a way back if they returned to the village first. After preparing, Alka warned Lloyd to follow her instructions exactly once they reached Azami. With the Elder's help, Lloyd boarded a bizarre Kunran vehicle and returned. The next day, the friendly match between the two kingdoms began. During the fight, Alan realized his opponent was Makona. Empowered by Triant energy, she crushed him easily and drove him to the brink, injuring him badly. The king immediately confronted Su, but Su calmly proposed an alliance to conquer the world. The Zayu Empire had technology to turn humans into obedient living weapons. With Azami's power added, ruling the world would be effortless. Colleen tried to intervene, but Soma pulled a dirty trick, freezing both of them in place. The king, who had once been possessed and caused endless suffering to his people and daughter, firmly rejected the offer. With diplomacy dead, Huge stepped in. But at that moment, everyone arrived and surrounded her. Riho exposed Huge's plan. She had wanted the Holy Sword to release last dungeon, which was why she deliberately kept Lloyd and Alka trapped in the village. Huge mocked them, claiming ordinary people couldn't change fate. Celine shot back that even without overwhelming power, she had always worked to be useful. Everyone backed her up, refusing to submit, irritating Huge to no end. Huge unleashed Abaddon locusts, threatening the crowd by taking citizens hostage. She immediately regretted it. Every single citizen revealed themselves as soldiers and adventurers in disguise, standing up to fight. Even Soma was impressed by how badly this plan backfired. Elsewhere, Murthohan learned Soma had left the village and went after him. Armed with a sickle and the Book of Destiny reversal, he proudly challenged Soma, claiming farming wasn't boring at all. Soma, however, despised the world itself. He wanted Lloyd to believe the outside world was exciting, turn him into a hero, and then destroy everything. Although he admitted Murthohan had some skill, he still crushed him effortlessly. On another battlefield, Marie's group struggled against monsters. Makona mocked Marie and immediately got kicked into a wall. Chrome and Colleen were defeated one after another, forcing Sue to escort the king to the Holy Sword. Unexpectedly, Alan appeared and sliced off Sue's arm only for it to regenerate instantly. The truth surfaced. Long ago, when humanity begged for salvation, Alka used rune text to create Sue as a hero meant to vanish once peace returned. But Sue remained, was praised, forgotten, and grew desperate for release. To escape his existence, he planned to eliminate Alka and turn Lloyd into the new hero. At that moment, Lloyd arrived, casually asking about Alan's match and revealing he had heard everything from Alka. He accused Huge of faking the Demon Lord resurrection. Huge denied wanting chaos, but Lloyd didn't buy it. Forced, she revealed an egg containing Viri. Remembering Alka's warning, Lloyd demanded it. Huge tried to comply, but Lloyd suddenly threw a rock at her. She responded by summoning her trump card, a giant golem that absorbed Makona to boost its power. Marie begged Lloyd to save Makona. Lloyd charged in, slicing off the golem's arm only for it to regenerate instantly. As he fought, Celine crept closer from behind. The golem launched a blinding lightspeed attack. Lloyd dodged, but hesitated because Makona was trapped. That hesitation got him blasted away, horrifying everyone. They realized Makona was the golem's regeneration core. No one could reach her, and she had lost consciousness. Lloyd was exhausted until Murthohan suddenly appeared, reviving his spirit with talk of growing vegetables and raising fish. With that ridiculous motivation, he knocked the golem back. At the same time, Riho and Marie shouted for Makona to wake up. Riho even promised her a special treasure. That did the trick. Makona snapped awake, escaped the golem, and lunged for the reward, making the entire arena laugh in disbelief. As Huge raged, Silence snatched the egg and kept calling Viratora's name. At first, there was silence. Then, Viri finally emerged, shocking Huge. Celine proudly claimed she had perfectly tamed him. Fully restored and stronger than ever, Viratora blasted the golem into rubble with wind magic. Huge panicked and sent a distress signal, only to realize her allies were busy filming Lloyd. Sue watched calmly, satisfied that Lloyd had officially become the new hero. The plan had succeeded beyond expectations. Alka descended from the sky, mocking Huge to surrender. Huge resisted, forcing Alka to unleash her full power until Soma rescued Huge at the last second. Sue said he needed time to edit Lloyd's battle footage, reminding him not to forget his crimes. Thanks to luck and talent, Alan was once again praised as a hero. Murthohan was reinstated for his contributions, though his habits still annoyed Colleen. Makona happily played with her bizarre loot. Lloyd returned to daily life, trapped in a chaotic harem. Alka tried sticking close to him, but Celine blocked her every move. Just as things were about to explode, Marie and Rio stepped in. Alan and Philo joined, and everyone gathered at Marie's house for a party. After endless chaos and battles, they finally shared a peaceful feast together. And that wraps up this absolute madness. If you survive till the end, you're a certified legend. Now let's confuse every fake fan lurking in the comments. Drop "he triggered marriage" flags below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and brace yourselves, because the next recap is going to blow this one out of the water.